Ciao, my loves. Welcome back to Drawing Down the Stars. This is Gemma with your first month, the first lunar month, Martius, and the beginning of the lunar new year. Pardon my tardiness. I was in retreat, as well as I'm currently on a work-study internship program in biodynamic farming. So applying cosmic wisdom to better understand how life on Earth and agriculture is affected by the stars. And as always, everything I learn and share, I will bring to you. So let's dive in. First, before I jump into this reading, that's going to be an overview of not only this month, but also this year. I want to say that there's a few key things that are occurring. And of course, I'll dive into it. But first and foremost, we are experiencing the effects still from February 17th eclipse. And the reason that is because that eclipse was called an exalemos, and it is a 54-year cycle. And I dive into the Babylonian Saros Cycles. And essentially that cycle was the shifting of a centralized power and a decentralized power. And we see that very prevalent currently, right? In terms of this authoritarian nature that's starting to ensue, as well as people choosing to decentralize. And a lot of my previous readings, I talked specifically about us moving into smaller groups, into smaller communities. That is part of the decentralization theme that is occurring. The reason this 54-year cycle is important is it does mark collective themes within collective consciousness because it plays on the nodes. I will include the link below in the notes if you want to dive deeper into the Saros cycles or the eclipse cycles and how they work into our greater consciousness. Second key aspect that we will dive into, and that this month and this year are really showing, is when I looked at the cosmos, I didn't look just at this month. I started to look back at other subsequent charts. And now this is a Vedic system that I read from. So the D9 chart, the D60 chart, and these charts show the soul and previous karmas, what I like to call the sacred other. And coincidentally, through each of these charts, we have a special interplay with the sun and the moon and Saturn. More importantly, that Saturn in all three of these charts sits the 12th position from the sun and the moon. Now this year, the sun and the moon begin in Pisces. This shows us that we are still in the Piscean age, though at the end, because on the equinox, the sun is in Uttara Bhadrapada. Now that star or asterism is in about the middle of Pisces, and it's also governed or influenced by Saturn. Its gateway is through Saturn, is the best way to explain it. Now, what does this 12th position shows? Well, it shows predominantly that this year is going to be about where previous karma it meets past lives and inherent natures. It's not a simple turning of the page. If anything, this year is going to show each and every one of us of a perpetual nature and a cyclical calendar, that not everything is linear. And we are going to dive deeper and reverberate into other patterns and deeper to revealing what lies hidden. So let's dive into this threshold and cross the gate. Now, first and foremost, this year is both a culmination and a new beginning. It is, again, a refraction from previous karma. We can see a lot of this happening in our world events. A lot of you will also experience this very, very viscerally in your own personal lives. But this correlation is not so much of a completion. It's more of a continuation. So we are seeing the emergence of a new order. We are seeing the emergence of a dismemberment, very much a death of one, a dismemberment, a breaking away. And we will feel this collectively as well as individually. And from the cosmic perspective, this is how we break things apart from a co-creative to understand the intricate natures that lie within, right? I want you to think about if you were to sever an atom. you would be able to then see the protons, neutrons, and electrons. But when you see it as a whole, it's a functioning system. This dismemberment is, yes, the death of one as a whole, but a greater look into what lies within and beneath. This very much is a transformational energy, and it will be a transformation that echoes from the past that is moving within a very distinct pattern. And let me emphasize, a very distinct pattern. Not only are we touching back on a 54-year cycle where the stock market crashed, we have multiple political stirs, you will see that we have the exact same patterns that occurred in 2008 as well as in 1990. And now here we are in this kind of resurrection, redirection, refraction, all of these great words. The key of this pattern with Saturn 12th from the sun and the moon, and with Saturn currently in Pisces against the stars, is that there is an ending and a rebirth of new karma. Nothing is accidental. Everything, though it seems chaotic, has a direct correlation. Now, this theme will also show and work into a very scorpionic nature, okay? And this is where we get an emphasis on the passage of death. This is more of an archetypal position that will come through. So for any of you that have an ascendant, particularly an ascendant or a moon in Scorpio, this is going to be more transformative for you. You might be reckoning with, where am I going? What am I doing? Am I repeating the same thing? And for a lot of us, that can come forward. But for Scorpio, this call to death and transformation might be a little bit more profound within your psyche. Now, Uttara Bhadrapada, the very lunar mansion of this new month and the beginning of this new year. Let's dive in here. Because this position, again, as I mentioned, it's called the dragon of the deep. It also has a lot of occult correlations as well as mythological correlations. It is, in order to access the star, it is governed by Saturn. And not Saturn in the point of a divvying of very strict binding of time, but more of the occult or the deeper aspect of Saturn. This position particularly is connected to the co-creative dual nature as well as karma. Now, within this dragon of the deep, we have a very secretive and magical qualities. It is going to show us that it's going to show us essentially how things lie underneath. So its influence is very sensitive, especially if you were born with this moon in this lunar mansion. It's secretive, it's inwardly drawn, and there is the key, is the inward draw. The theme here is not so much about renewal, but resurrection through reflection, or unity through reflection. Now, what that means is renewal here comes with a cost. And the position here, Saturn, very much emphasizes material attachment. We will see this in this next year very profoundly. The more you attach to materiality, the more you will fall through. Here is the aim, is a spiritual boon, the attainment of spirituality. It's going to further push us as a collective to move deeper into our spiritual nature, to discredit and dismember the material aspect of attachment or structural component. We are going to see and redirect how we move spirituality into the forefront as our binder versus materiality as the binding component. Now, when we look at the previous months, we were looking at redemption and a return of karmic distribution. But these themes are going to continue with a different flavor. Again, it's magnified by the February eclipse. It will come into full circle in August eclipse. But I want you to expect that communication has an undercurrent. Everything about this year is going to be what is underneath. Everything is going to be an undercurrent. There is more information that is in the components than that which you see, right? Like going back, it's not the atom, it's the electrons, the neutrons, and the protons. It's the components that are going to give you the wisdom and the direction you seek. It is the components that are going to be the co-creative factor for you to change anything you seek in your life. Now, in addition to that, there is a nature of unseen messages. I kept getting communication through water or communication in underwater. This can mean multiple things. It can be that as we choose to move into smaller groups or we choose to decentralize, we will carry communication that is more hidden. We will choose to move things more secretively. We will choose to move through water is the intuitive nature, but is also the spiritual aspect. So it is the communication that draws to us through spirit and dreams and ideas and intuition, those ideas that are more spiritualized and less materialized. There is a very strong aspect, and I just want to share what I was receiving, is unseen messages, right? There's something about connections being severed, connections underwater, or connections coming together through like a water scenario or an intuitive, more spiritual sense. The renewal as a collective is going to be a turning of the wheel and a shift of our collective pattern. We are being confronted with a replication of pattern. Are we going to continue to apply the same mechanisms because now they do no longer work? Are we going to try square peg and round hole collectively, individually, or are we going to try and take the components and redirect and transform what we know? Are we going to try a new mechanism of communication with divine and see the hidden messages that lie within? This is a very strong position because it allows us a chance to enact our higher abilities within karma. Now, karma just means action in essence. So are we going to take the same actions? Are we going to take the same results? Are we going to push the same heavy cart forward? Or are we going to take that wheel and move it in a different direction? Let's go deeper into this lunar mansion because there are secrets, as always, in the myths as well as key points. Now, the deity that resides over Uttara Bhadrapada is Aru Budara. Now, forgive me for butchering my pronunciation, but this is also known as essentially the dragon of the deep, and it lives within primal darkness. Here is the key with this lunar mansion is a dual principle of light and dark. I also want to note that these specific positions amongst the cosmos is also the same positions that represent Nephthys and Isis. We see these two sisters from the Egyptian aspect, that are light and dark. This is the two principles of co-creation, of heat and cold. This is emphasized in the Ayur Budnyar as well as Aja Ekapada. So essentially, from the middle of Pisces, we have a reflection back down into Virgo. But solely within this position within Pisces, it's represented as two primary elements, right? They represent as two sets of twins, the dual aspect within each individual, the nature and the dual aspect contained within one thing. It is opposing qualities. The reason this is important is light and dark, these dual natures are the key in terms of reflection. It is the key in terms of co-creation. So here on the new month and the beginning of the new lunar year, we have a birth of a new order, but it is really resurrecting the occult perspective. This month and this year will usher in a new presentation. It will show in a different way of authority, but authority that we get to reflect and what we give life to. It will challenge us what we bring into our centralized life. What are we feeding? And what are we decentralizing? What are we detaching from? What are we moving away from the current structure? This is in an individual, not just in a collective structure. Now, because we have this refraction with Saturn in Pisces, let's look and understand what occurs in Virgo, because this is key. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Now, with this position in Saturn, right where the sun and moon are, in this lunar mansion, Uttara Bhadrapada, we have the dual co-creative nature. It is the depth of the cosmic waters. Virgo is the virgin that literally brings water to the shores. It is a carrying of the depths of the cosmic waters, the within to without. Now, in this position, we have a dissolution that will bring an awakening. There is a hidden smoldering. There is the items or the components that lie beneath that are part of a new beginning within that is going to water our earth and bring without. For those of you that have your moon's placement in any of these lunar mansions that are connected, that is the Uttaras and the Purvas, i.e., if your moon is in the end of Aquarius to the middle of Pisces, you will be affected. If your lunar moon is the middle of Leo to the beginning of Virgo, you will be more effective. If your lunar moon is the middle of Sagittarius to the beginning of Capricorn, you will be more effective, because these stars create a triangulation with one another. Now, this will work through your moon. So again, look at your moon on your own birth chart. Now, when the middle of this month, or today, when we have the full moon, the Ides, which the moon will be in Virgo, we will have the maiden emerging. From the Roman perspective, today is known as Anna Perenna, the turning of the wheel, the maiden that shifts time, the turning of the year, the turning of the season. We see this in a correlation to Sibyl in the Roman context of the turning of essentially the goddess of the earth. Now, what it really means from us on a cosmos to the psyche level is this mid-month is the feminine principle, or the new birth is crossing over from the depths below into a passage of new life. Now, for those of you that know, Anna Perenna is annuals and perennials. So just like in planting, it is the shifting of a year and of a season. At the end of this month, we will have a full culmination or an enlivenment of that season. The Romans used to practice this in their worship of Sibyl, or the return of Attis. Now, this works hand in hand with everything that is working in terms of the changing of the new world order that we see, that I've been talking about for the past, 3 to 6 months. We're also going to see that this lunar year is going to work the depths of our own personal karma. It is a key into a reflection and a refraction. You're probably sick of me saying that, but it's true. What that means is we're going to split off into new portions of life, a karmic redo in some of it and a karmic closing in others. Now, for the much of the collective, this is going to be a mulligan. We're going to see things come back. We have new perspective. We see replications of patterns. We see secrets that have been revealed. And now we get a new position on how we want to transform that action within our own lives. We might have specific individuals that are literally replicating the exact same thing. We might personally be greeted with the same situations. Now take your components and make something new. Redirect the pattern from the past into a new perspective and a shift of ordering. This is going to be very deep, because it's once you do this split off and you do a new reflection, it gives you an opportunity to actually look and see how you want to be reflected in a new light. What aspects of yourself are you going to bring death to, quite literally dismember and start to recreate. Tap in, because this specific position of this year and of this moon is the depth of our own magic. It calls us into the caverns of what is holy. It calls us into the caverns of what are we watering from within to without. What are we giving our very essence, and how are we connected to source? Beyond this material fabrication, what is our spiritual lifeline from the depths of within? By today and onward, we are going to start to gain a little bit more understanding. So though the moon will be waxing, what has come to light is the soul will begin to gain momentum. So what will come into light is how we want to change and shift those pivots. This offers us a new view, a new perspective. And even though the moon is waxing, things become brighter from within. We have this dueling nature of light and darkness again. So light will come through the darkness. Get clear. Organize, but do not place things in order, because that's not the nature of Pisces. It's understand your connection to the external. Use the Virgo nature to order the experience that you seek and order how you perceive yourself within the external world. Virgo people are very, very conscientious of their influence of internal to external. Sometimes they get a little neurotic and heady, but we love them. But it is using this very nature of internal to external, within to without. This is how you want to utilize this energy in terms of what do you want to experience? What do you want to serve you? How do you want to be presented? Lastly, as I wrap up, collectively this year and this month is just the beginning of the year. It begins to bring these themes into light, and this overarching theme of a redirection of a new pattern of karma will play out through the entire year, each month unfolding that specific theme uniquely as well as its own. Collectively, we've been asked to change our flow, to change what matters, to shift away from distractions. Don't elevate what doesn't elevate you. Take within and move it to without. From this is a shift in a different spiritual boon. Remember that Saturn in this position, or the guardian of this gate, asks you to move into the spiritual nature. That's how you unlock the spiritual boon and the hidden nature that lies within. These stars are very intricately connected to sacred myths. The Virgin bearing the cosmic waters, or Virgo, Isis and her sister Nephthys. Vedically, we call this the four-post bed. It is the reflection we experience this month is twofold. On a lower level, older karmas and situations will be reflected back to us, not just through ourselves, but we will recognize it in others. We will recognize it in people coming to us. But in addition to that, on the higher level, you are going to be asked to basically reflect back that which you will. Let me re-emphasize this, because it can get a little heady and confusing, but the mirror in the occult position and in many spiritual schools is a very sacred tool. It is also said to be the gateway to another realm. We look at a mirror and it is literally inverting the image back to us. This is the key. Invert the inversion. Whatever lies within you, turn it in on itself and reflect it out to the world. What you give your mind to will come into expression, i.e. Virgo, ruled by Mercury. Whatever you apply, the mental faculty will move prana and that life force to emulate the within to without. It will water and become into that co-creative aspect. So when you are looking at yourself, be it in a mirror or whatnot, when you're working through these patterns, if you notice any type of common patterning, through this energy, through this nature, in this year, invert the higher realm. This is twofold. So the highest realm is going to ask that you use this tool for an inward access. Something within you, within each of us, is going to emanate outward. This is the unification of Pisces. The inward inverts Just meditate on that if it sounds confusing. Invert what is inward. Because this is going to be the rising from within to above, the flow from divine from within to without. This is our communion and our co-creation. And it's going to be heavily predicated on the mind and how you work with the unseen nature, or that which lies hidden below. Immerse yourself in the exchange. Immerse yourself in the communication within yourself. Immerse yourself into what is being mirrored and what you seek to be mirrored into this world. This month will bring us face to face with certain inner darkness, both within and externally. We can see it in our world around us. Things are coming up. Plunge into the subjectivity of it all. The how bad is it? How good is it? Everything is a flow. Because when you plunge into the subjectivity, that's when magic arises. When we are able to confront all aspects of ourselves and treat it with equanimity, when we invert the inversion, when we move into what is already within us in all forms, when we turn within on itself, right, then we have unified. This is the key that is held within Pisces. Turn within, in on itself, and unify. This in and of itself. Then Mercury stay with me. It's like an alchemical process. The moment you invert in on yourself, Mercury will take a double transmutation. That Saturn electromagnetic wave essentially is creating a new bound. It's like a cosmic blast, right? If you think of a bomb comes in on itself and then it blows out even further. That's what I mean. Turn in and on yourself and your power begins to emanate further outward. You become to take your bounds beyond what is imagined. Now, that is going to be for this entire year. However, this month we'll start bringing it into precipice, just like the new blooms that are starting to come forward and life that is starting to emerge. This is going to be the beginning of a karmic ripple extending both from 2008, 1990, 1954, etc., etc. We have multiple karmic positions that are coming into forefront now. But for us here today, spiritually, collectively, let's shift our cultural association. Let's shift our structural components so we can build and expand into a reality that holds us equally connected, yoked to one another, as well as yoked to that which lives within us. We were going to decentralize to centralize to the true source within you. That's all. Lots and lots of love to each and every one of you, and Happy New Year as we start another turn of this lunar year. Ciao a tutti.